Welcome to Tariff Town. We all live here now. And even some of the most staunch MAGA supporters are questioning the new global tariff set out by Donald Trump and allegedly ChatGPT. Stocks are doing bad. While ICE continues to enforce mass deportations and over 1 million people protested against the current administration, it seems the scene has finally been set for some of Trump's former biggest supporters to criticize the president. Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, and even Elon have spoken out against some of Trump's current vibes. Elon himself is also taking heat from a former business partner and also everyone else. And X is alive with the sound of conservative online commentators changing their tune. Are we witnessing a change in the tides, or just a short moment of clarity from some of the men who helped put Trump there in the first place? Maybe these dudes only start caring when they start losing money. Let's get into it. Conservative commentator, Wicked enthusiast, and Cardi B denier Ben Shapiro has criticized the new tariffs, starting his Monday show with his thoughts on the matter. Ben says that while tariffs are important and a totally understandable tool, like when they can be used to leverage other countries to give the US better trade deals, but he said the Trump administration's belief that tariffs are good and trade wars are easy to win is really problematic.
That would require the president to believe not the sort of tariffs are good for America on their own version of what tariffs are good for, but the other two.
Ben, who has over 7 million followers on YouTube, went on to say that the stocks are plummeting because the president's long-term plans are uncertain, saying,
"It is absolutely unclear what President Trump is thinking at this point, and herein lies the problem. You have a vast combination of radical uncertainty."
His criticism is a bit surprising, especially since he was one of Trump's loudest cheerleaders before the 2024 election. Heck, Shapiro even showed up last month to listen to the president's speech to Congress. But he's not the only conservative voice raising an eyebrow about the tariffs. Bill Ackman, a hedge fund billionaire, Harvard hater, and key Trump ally, has also slammed the tariffs, posting a mini novel on X. The country is 100% behind the president on fixing a global system of tariffs that has disadvantaged the country. But business is a confidence game, and confidence depends on trust. By placing massive and disproportionate tariffs on our friends and our enemies alike, and thereby launching a global economic war against the whole world at once, we are now in the process of destroying confidence in our country as a trading partner, as a place to do business, and as a market to invest capital. If, on the other hand, on April 9th, we launch economic nuclear war on every country in the world, business investment will grind to a halt, consumers will close their wallets and pocketbooks, and we will severely damage our reputation with the rest of the world that will take years and potentially decades to rehabilitate. What CEO and what board of directors will be comfortable making large, long-term economic commitments in our country in the middle of an economic nuclear war? This is a clear and low-key apocalyptic message, and it's part of a growing chorus of politicians, business leaders, and various Trump allies who warn that imposing levies on goods from every US trading partner would be a mistake with enduring consequences. Elon Musk, the man himself, even seems to have been pretty sober on Monday, sharing his view that ideally, Europe and America would have some sort of free trade agreement instead. The EU is set to strike back against Trump's tariffs, with countermeasures targeting up to $28 billion of US goods, from dental floss to diamonds. This move would align the EU with China and Canada in the growing trade tensions, which some fear could spark a global trade war, raising prices and risking recessions. Elon's former business partner, Dr. Philip Lowe, who's a Canadian inventor, computational neuroscientist, first time I've ever said that, and mathematician, skewered Elon earlier this year, calling him a narcissist, a traitor, a fake, and honestly, a lot more. It was quite a hefty post. I recommend reading it if you're a full-time Elon hater. We'll pop a link in the bio with something for you. And this week, Dr. Philip doubled down, doing an interview with 60 Minutes. He described Elon as an old friend who was a lot of fun and a ray of sunshine, until their friendship deteriorated in 2021 when Elon started acting weird and attempted to undermine Philip's business. Sounds like him. This interview is unique because he tends to be a pretty private guy. He doesn't do heaps of press or heaps of interviews, but he explained he's been watching Elon closely, and he has concerns about Doge, saying he's defunding organizations that were going to hold him accountable, so that's very dangerous. He also said this:
So where he says he's fighting for the American taxpayer.
Respectfully, I say that's bullshit.
I love adding in respectfully. Respectfully, I hate you. Philip went on to issue this frightening warning about his fears for Elon's future plans.
My fear is that he's manipulating President Trump to tear up the Constitution until he will tear up President Trump.
But perhaps the most shocking turn of allegiance, other than John Cena turning heel and bullying this kid,
everybody, including that one kid right there, is a toxic, dysfunctional relationship.
Is none other than former Fear Factor host, DMT enthusiast, and the world's most popular podcaster, Joe Rogan. Joe Bro is a high-profile Trump voter and supporter whose endorsement shockingly seemed to really help Trump win the election. But recently, he had some choice words about the current administration. He called Trump's weird beef with Canada stupid, saying,
ridiculous. I can't believe that there's like anti-American and anti-Canadian sentiment going on. It's the dumbest fucking feud.
Joe Rogan also took issue with deportations, criticizing the president's administration over the deportation of a professional makeup artist and hairdresser to a prison in El Salvador, calling the situation horrific. Andre Jose Hernandez Romero, a gay man who sought asylum in the US, was claiming that he faced persecution due to his sexual orientation and political views. However, US immigration officials pointed to crown tattoos on his wrists, suggesting he was part of an Argentinian gang, which he denied. Last month, he was flown from Texas to a harsh maximum security prison in El Salvador, part of the mass deportation campaign promised by Trump. On the March 29th episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe Bro said,
"You got to get scared that people who are not criminals are getting like lassoed up and deported and sent to like El Salvador prisons."
Look, before you freak out, we can't give Joe Bro too much credit, okay? Through in the same episode, he said, like, oh, Biden let all the criminals in and the Free Palestine protests were paid for and the people are getting paid to protest the Teslas and blah, 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 blah. But baby steps, okay? Baby steps. This is particularly interesting because Joe Rogan has a huge audience, especially with men. He's one of the people responsible for Trump being in the White House, and what he says holds huge sway with his fan base. As we stand at the crossroads of political upheaval, it's clear that the voices once loud in support of Trump and his policies are maybe shifting a little. It seems the disillusionment is spreading beyond the usual political pundits. But are these simply moments of clarity, or are we witnessing a fundamental shift in the conservative landscape? What happens when those who once helped shape the Trump era begin to pull away? Is this the beginning of a deeper fracture in the conservative base, or a temporary lapse in loyalty? Look, here's my thing. Are these critiques driven by a genuine concern for the country's future, or by the self-interest of those with everything to lose in an economic storm? Are the men who champion Trump now distancing themselves from the chaos they've helped create only now that they've lost some money? While groups of human beings' rights are attacked, these dudes jump in when the stocks are affected. Thank you for watching. Much to think about. Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe. We do 5 videos a week on everything happening around the world, in the news, and on the internet. Much to ponder on this one. Much to ponder. I can't believe I watched a full Ben Shapiro video. That's how much I love you. See you tomorrow.